Well, joining me now in our Istanbul studio is Roey Gilad. He's the Chargé d'Affaires at the Israeli embassy in Ankara. Good to talk to you in person, sir. We had one conversation
Good to be here, Imran.
Do you like Swiss cheese?
I can see where you're leading.
Mahmoud Abbas says that's what he's being offered and he doesn't like it very much.
You know, by the way, where he took it, the late Yitzhak Rabin said exactly the same thing about the Oslo agreement. So Mahmoud Abbas is not the first one to use this verb. Look, no peace deal is going to satisfy both sides. I think this was Henry Kissinger that said once that a good deal is one that makes both sides as frustrated. I'll take you by surprise. There are many people in Israel who do not like this deal. They think that the independent Palestinian state will risk Israel. There is a swap of land. Many people that don't know it, but Palestinians are about to get land in the Negev, in south of Israel, that was never a Palestinian land. So there are inhabitants of the Negev.
They lose the land that was Palestinian land, and they get land that was in the middle of the desert, that was never Palestinian land. You see the difference?
I do, but that's exactly why you have frustration on both sides. People here in Turkey think that in Israel everybody is fascinated by the plan. No. The two big parties did accept the plan, the Likud and Blue and White. However, the right wing in Israel is strongly against it. They say any independent Palestinian state, even if demilitarized, is going to endanger the future of the Jewish state. And they lean on what happened in Gaza, where we pulled back in 2005 and see what happened.
But you say the right wing. I mean, Netanyahu has swallowed up most of the right. You're talking about the very extreme right that refuses to even see the Palestinians as human beings in many ways.
No, that's not true. That's not fair. I don't think there are animals who do not see the Palestinians as human beings, but they say that any
Palestinian believes that they have zero claim whatsoever.
Any Palestinian sovereignty is going to endanger the security of the state of Israel.
And that's why they've not been offered sovereignty at all, really, because you wouldn't accept an Israeli state without an army, without control of borders. What kind of Mickey Mouse state is that? That's not a peace plan. That's an offer to capitulate or nothing.
Is that the problem, that the Palestinian state should have an army? Do you really think that's the major issue?
Army, control of borders, control of ports,
there is
control of trade,
a wide consensus in Israel that a Palestinian independent sovereign state should be demilitarized. Right wing, left wing, they all...
That doesn't make it right, does it?
I think it makes it very right. And I think had you lived in Israel in 2005 and 2006, after we pulled back from Gaza, unilaterally, I agree with you, that was different. And yet, after 1 year, after the violent takeover of Gaza by the Hamas, if you are looking for one event that made Israelis very skeptical about the ability to have a Palestinian independent state next to the Jewish state, this is what happened in Gaza in 2006.
As traumatic as that might be, certainly, if left and right, if there's a consensus that Palestinians should be deported, is that what you do? Because you're making the argument that there's widespread desire amongst the Israelis to have a demilitarized Palestinian state at best.
I say that Israelis, most of them, short of the right wing or the radical right, short of them, there is a strong support in Israel for an independent Palestinian state, which will be demilitarized. And at the same time, we never say the two-state solution. We say the two-nation-state solution. It has to be clear that Israel will remain a Jewish state, Palestinians will remain a Palestinian state, which will be demilitarized.
94% of Palestinians polled in this poll that came out on Tuesday, as you heard in Adam's report, reject the plan, and 2/3 support armed uprising. This is not Mahmoud Abbas. Even if Abbas accepted the plan, 94% of Palestinians say this is nonsense. We live under occupation. We want our rights, and we want a state.
So if those 94%...
Are you partial at all to that?
So I think that's very sad. I listened to the report, and I think that there are very positive elements in the plan which people are ignoring. The fact that you are talking here about, for the first time, an independent Palestinian state. Indeed, not on all
without
the
control
area.
of borders, without an army, where Israel still ultimately controls some of the fundamentals.
This plan, Imran, is a base for negotiation.
Okay.
It's not take it or leave it. It's not my way or the highway. The plan is a base for negotiations, direct negotiations between the two sides. The United States should not be in the room. Look, the problem here, since 1947, the UN has adopted 700 resolutions concerning the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. 700. I don't think there is any area that got so much attention from the international community. However, there was one resolution that had it been adopted in 1947 by the Palestinians, there was no need for the rest of the 699 resolutions. This is the partition plan. So I understand the bitterness that comes now from the Palestinian side, but the Palestinians have to realize the realities on the ground. It's not, they cannot get anymore what was offered in 47, and they refuse to get it in 47.
But why is it then that not only do you have the Palestinians who are out on the streets of Gaza, the West Bank, and elsewhere, you have the AU criticizing the plan, the European Union criticizing the plan, you have the UN Human Rights Council coming out, naming and shaming companies that do business in illegal Israeli settlements. Is this an international conspiracy against you?
No, I think the world is not open to take new ideas. I think many people, many states ignore the realities in the ground, and you cannot copycat the geopolitical maps that we had in 47, even in 67, and say that's our solution, that's the Palestinian solution.
But nobody's saying,
you need to go back to the 67
but nobody's
borders.
saying that. They're saying they want an end to the occupation.
No, but what
they're saying this plan is rotten because it's not fair. Ehud Olmert is saying this plan is not fair, your former prime minister.
There are 4 partition plans since 1937. The Peel Commission, which was the British Commission, the UN Commission in 47, Ehud Barak, as you remember, in 2000, and Ehud Olmert in 2008. 4 plans. Can you suggest one Palestinian plan other than just going, let's go back to...
The Arab Peace Initiative, the Saudi Peace Initiative?
So
why not use that as a basis? End the occupation, accepting Israel as a nation state, giving the Palestinians a state in the West Bank and Gaza with Jerusalem.
I thank you for this question. Our main challenge with the Saudi peace plan was it was very vague concerning the return of the refugees. That's another thing that Israel will not be willing to take, the return of the refugees.
Right.
There are some, when I say, Imran, facts on the ground, I say that we are now, Israel is 72 years old.
But these are facts on the ground that you have created by building settlements in the West Bank that you got through conquest.
You are correct by 100%. Nevertheless, the question is, do we want to make now the historical, to go through the historical narrative, or do we want to solve a challenge that Jews and Palestinians are facing in the state of Israel and find a reasonable solution? That's my point.
Is Ehud Olmert wrong for criticizing the plan?
Look, I don't know his political agenda. However, in 2008, when he went to Mr. Abu Mazen and suggested the most generous peace plan that was even more generous than the Barak peace plan in 2000, it was never answered by Mr. Abu Mazen.
Roey Gilad, we'll have you back on again soon and we'll continue this conversation.
I will be looking forward.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, sir.